What if India, the world's largest democracy, defaulted on its internal debt? Imagine a country of over 1 billion people and an economy that's a global powerhouse unable to pay its dues. The repercussions would be vast and far-reaching, affecting not just India but the global economy as well. We'd see impacts in financial markets, banking systems, the overall economy, and even political and social landscapes. Intriguing, isn't it? Let's dive into the consequences of such a hypothetical scenario. Firstly, we need to understand what internal debt is. In simple terms, internal debt is the money a country owes to its own citizens and institutions. It's like borrowing from your own savings account to fund a home renovation. In India's case, the renovation is the development and growth of the nation. The Indian government raises this internal debt by issuing bonds and securities. These financial instruments are promises to pay back the borrowed money with interest over a designated period of time. So, who buys these bonds? Well, it could be anyone from you and me to banks to large corporations and institutions. Now, why would we want to lend our money to the government? The answer is simple. It's considered a safe investment. The government, unlike a business or an individual, is unlikely to go bankrupt or default on its obligations. And why does the government need to borrow from its own people? Well, taxes alone aren't enough to cover all the expenses of running a country as vast and diverse as India. The government needs funds for everything from building infrastructure to providing healthcare and education to ensuring national security. Over the years, India's internal debt has grown steadily. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. It reflects the growth of the country's economy. As the economy expands, so does the government's need for funding. However, this growth in debt needs to be managed responsibly. If the government borrows more than it can repay, it could lead to a debt crisis. This is where the concept of a debt default comes into play. A debt default is when a country fails to meet its debt obligations, essentially breaking its promise to pay back its lenders. It's a scenario that no country wants to face, and it's one that India, with its robust economy and prudent fiscal management, is unlikely to encounter. Now that we understand the concept of internal debt, we can explore the potential impact of a default. The immediate aftermath of a debt default would be chaos in the financial markets. Picture this: markets tumbling, investors gasping, and a sense of uncertainty pervading the air. A default by India, a significant global economic player, would send shockwaves across financial landscapes, both at home and abroad. Investor confidence, a delicate and crucial aspect of any economy, would take a severe blow. Domestic investors, from big corporations to everyday individuals who've invested in government bonds, would find their investments at risk. This could potentially lead to a domino effect of financial distress, with businesses unable to meet their obligations and individuals facing a sudden and unexpected financial crunch. The international investment community would not be immune either. Foreign investors, attracted by India's growth story and its promise of high returns, would also face losses. This could lead to a widespread retreat of foreign capital, further deepening the economic crisis. The ripple effects would be felt globally, with other economies that have significant ties with India also experiencing a downturn. The stock markets would bear the brunt of this crisis. With the news of the default, stock prices would likely plummet, wiping out significant market value. Panic selling could ensue, leading to further declines and a vicious cycle of losses. This market downturn could extend beyond India, affecting global markets and causing a worldwide financial contagion. Yet the financial markets are just the beginning. The banking sector, a cornerstone of the economy and a primary holder of government debt, would also feel the pinch. The impact on banks would be profound and widespread, leading to a whole new set of challenges and repercussions. But that's a tale for the next part of our journey through this hypothetical scenario. Remember, while this scenario is highly unlikely, understanding these potential consequences underlines the importance of fiscal responsibility and economic stability, both at the national and individual level. Banks holding substantial amounts of government debt would be severely affected. Picture a scenario where banks, the lifeblood of an economy, are suddenly faced with a massive loss due to a debt default. This loss would likely trigger a credit crunch, a situation where banks become overly cautious and reduce lending. It's a domino effect, really. With fewer loans, businesses struggle to grow, and individuals find it harder to buy homes, cars, or even pay for education. But it doesn't stop there. The savings of millions could be at risk, leading to panic withdrawals and possibly even bank runs. All of this could result in a significant loss of public trust in the financial system, a trust that once lost can take years to rebuild. With the banking sector under stress, the economy would inevitably suffer. It's a grim picture indeed, but one that underscores the importance of fiscal responsibility. A debt default could trigger a severe economic crisis. Imagine a world where India, one of the world's largest economies, fails to repay its internal debt. The immediate impact would be a sharp increase in inflation rates. The value of the Indian rupee could plummet drastically, making imported goods, which are crucial for both industries and consumers, far more expensive. This hyperinflation would hit ordinary citizens hard. Their savings would be worth less and less, and the cost of living would skyrocket. A loaf of bread, a liter of milk, or a bus ride home could become luxuries. Businesses would also struggle, as the cost of raw materials and imports would increase, while their customers would have less money to spend. But the impact wouldn't stop there. The private sector, which relies heavily on internal debt for financing, would find it increasingly difficult to secure loans. This would lead to a slowdown in investment, a decrease in job creation, and potentially an increase in unemployment. The public sector would not be immune either. Government spending, which fuels growth and provides essential services, would have to be cut back. This could lead to less funding for education, healthcare, and infrastructure, areas that are vital for the country's development and well-being. In the worst-case scenario, this economic crisis could trigger a downward spiral. As the economy contracts, tax revenues would decrease, making it even harder for the government to service its debt. This could lead to further defaults, exacerbating the crisis. The economic fallout would be significant, but the social and political repercussions could be even more profound. It's a sobering scenario, yet it underlines the importance of managing debt responsibly. The consequences of a debt default are far-reaching, affecting not just the economy but the very fabric of society. A debt default would not just be an economic issue, it would also be a social and political one. The government's handling of the situation would be under the microscope, with every decision dissected and analyzed. The Prime Minister, Finance Minister, and other key figures would face public pressure like never before. Debt default could lead to a surge in public concern. People would be worried about their savings, their jobs, and their future. This concern could translate into social unrest, with peaceful protests and calls for action becoming more frequent. Politically, the fallout could also lead to a shift in power dynamics, with opposition parties leveraging the crisis to challenge the ruling party. But the repercussions wouldn't stop at India's borders. The global community would be watching closely, as the implications of such a default would have far-reaching impacts on international finance and trade. While the consequences would be felt domestically, they would also reverberate globally. India's default could cause shockwaves in the global economy. It would not just be a local issue, but a global concern. The impact could reach the shores of every country that has a stake in India's economy, affecting foreign investments and trade relations. Imagine the unease of foreign investors as they watch their investments in one of the world's fastest-growing economies suddenly become uncertain. Trade relations could also take a hit as countries scramble to reassess their economic ties with India. Moreover, India plays a significant role in the global market, as a major hub for IT services, pharmaceuticals, textiles, and more. A default could disrupt supply chains and cause global market instability. This hypothetical scenario, while unlikely, serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of fiscal responsibility. It underscores how one country's financial decisions can have far-reaching effects, influencing the global economic landscape in profound ways. Despite the severity of this hypothetical scenario, it's important to remember that it is just that, hypothetical. Yet it serves as a stark reminder of the importance of fiscal responsibility and economic stability. The potential fallout, both locally and globally, underscores the far-reaching implications of fiscal missteps. As we peer into the future, the path forward for India is clear. Maintaining trust and practicing prudent financial management are the cornerstones of its continued growth and stability.